All right. So, as some of you may or may not know already, we're building a customers plus to mobile tech RX integration. This integration represents a bridge between mobile tech RX and customers plus. So, your estimates, client info, and follow ups stay connected and automated, saving you time and money. Let's start by talking about the heart of this integration, what it actually does behind the scenes. We're making the two platforms talk to each other with real-time syncing. No more double entry because your info will update instantly in both systems. Automations get triggered the moment something changes, like when an estimate is created or when a job is approved. So now let's look at why this is so valuable for your day-to-day business. So here's the bigger picture of why we're even connecting Customers Plus and MTRX in the first place. MTRX is your estimating hub, assuming, of course, you use MTRX. And Customers Plus handles all the follow-ups, nurturing, and workflow logic. So together, they eliminate manual work and give you true back-end flow. And this saves you a ton of time, reduces mistakes, and keeps everything in sync automatically. This connection basically turns two separate platforms into one mega powerful system. Now, let's talk about what you actually gain from it. And here's where the magic really happens. In other words, these are the real benefits you'll notice immediately. When Customers Plus generates a new client in the CRM, MTRX receives it instantly. When new estimates are created in MTRX, they'll also reflect automatically in Customers Plus. Think reminders, emails, or texts the moment an estimate is sent or approved. And that means less double entry with faster actions and fewer mistakes. So everyone is working from the same live data, so there's no more guesswork. Bottom line, with everything working together, you'll spend less time chasing info and more time doing what you actually love, like working on vehicles and, of course, getting paid. Now, as we keep things simple, here's how this whole system is connected. Zapier bridges the gap with simple, effective, and flexible events. These events are basically triggers, so when something changes, the system reacts. For example, when an estimate is created, Customers Plus follows up automatically. And on the other side, CRM updates can trigger workflows or notes in MTRX. And there's all kinds of different possibilities of different things that can trigger and react. It's really all about smart syncing. So each platform knows what the other is doing. Let's zoom out for a second and talk about what this integration really means long term. What we're doing is turning static estimate info into dynamic automation. It's how we respond and act on the data that matters. The estimate becomes the start of a full customer journey. So this is about more than just syncing. It's about creating a smarter, faster, automated business flow. Now, let's compare this integration to building a house to simplify everyone's roles. We have MTRX development. So the MTRX developers are like the suppliers and contractors. And we rely on them for the tools and the materials, just like API endpoints and event triggers. Customers Plus, that's us, mainly Josh and myself. We are the architects and engineers. We're designing how the whole system works and building out the structure using what we have to work with. The clients, you guys, are the homeowners. You decide what you want to build or how you want it built, how it should work for your business, and then you benefit from the automation every day. And then your customers are like tenants. They live in the experience. They fill out the forms, get automated follow-ups, and get to enjoy the end result. Every great build needs the right players, so when everyone does their part, we end up with a smart, well-built system that works for everyone. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to Josh, and he's going to walk you through the actual integration, what it looks like, how it works, and where we're at so far.
Awesome. Thanks for the conceptual intro there, Miguel. Give me just a moment here to switch over to my screen. Okay, here we go. So after Miguel's conceptual intro, I want to give you guys just a brief visual here. So let me switch into presentation mode. It kicked me out. So this is just a rudimentary visual to kind of work in how this is going to work with you guys' pipeline and the steps that you currently already have in your system. So as new leads come into Customers Plus, we're going to be working in like estimate appointments here. Some of you guys already have this in your system, but this is just for variable like appointment confirmations and different types of messages if you need to see it in person before you're actually even sending the estimate. So because this is even a variable for some guys, it's important to at least have this stage here to prep properly for all the different scenarios before we even get into prepping the actual estimates themselves. So there will be a new calendar with our general system specifically for estimates, and there will also be a placeholder stage for those types of appointments here. So that's something slightly new. And then we're going to have one more new step in the pipeline called, or stage in the pipeline called estimate prep. And this is the basically only manual action from Customers Plus to get your client information over to Mobile Tech RX. And it's just a simple drag and drop in the pipeline. You guys should all be pretty familiar with this by now. So you just have a new stage that you can move contacts over to when you're ready for that information to be taken from Customers Plus. and then be moved over to Mobile Tech RX. So right when you move it over in the pipeline, you can then go ahead and just switch over to MTRX and start building your estimate. Your client will already be there, so you can select the existing client without the double data entry. And then just follow through with creating your actual estimate from there. And this is the action that triggers information to come back to Customers Plus. So with our middleman tool that Miguel touched on a little bit, Zapier, as estimates or work orders are created in Mobile Tech RX, we're able to capture that action. So just as you create the estimates, that's kind of all you've got to do. And that signals off Zapier to say, hey, Customers Plus, it's time to catch. So Zapier is throwing us back the information from your estimate, and Zapier is just the middleman. It's kind of like a relay. If anybody's ever played baseball, you can imagine Mobile Tech RX just got a ball hit to the outfield. They're throwing it into the shortstop, which is Zapier. And then Zapier's throwing it to the catcher at home plate, which is Customers Plus. And all this is kind of going on in the background automatically, just as you create your estimates. And from there, we actually have a new portion of Customers Plus as well. And after this brief visual, we're going to get into this stuff just a little bit more. I have screenshots of every step laid out for you guys to show you next. And it's kind of like a new database specifically for the vehicles. They're called custom objects. So just like you have contacts and clients in your system, well, they also have vehicles, and we can kind of link these two together, like who owns the vehicles, because at the end of the day, that's actually what you guys are servicing. The vehicles just have an owner. So we now have new custom objects and a whole new database to bring over the vehicles that you have tied into your estimates on Mobile Tech RX. And so as you create the estimates and we capture some of that information, we're going to go ahead and move the opportunity for you to a new stage called Estimate Sent to symbolize that the estimate's already been sent out to the customer. We're going to capture the estimate value and update the opportunity card for you with that value. And so this actually takes out a manual step later in the system where you guys were having to like enter the value if you wanted to track your ROI throughout the whole system. At the end of the pipeline, when repairs are complete, that triggers off an email to you, and you would have to go into that email and enter the value of the sale. And that would reflect everything in your pipeline and your dashboard stats and all those good things. Well, now we can just capture that value automatically from Mobile Tech RX variably as you just put the values on your estimates. Those will be pulled into the pipeline for you. And this is going to trigger the follow-up. So this right here, I feel like this has really been the main missing link with having a CRM and Mobile Tech RX. And it's because Mobile Tech still has to be the one to send the estimate, the actual PDF document that the customers get. We currently don't have a way to like really just take that PDF document and bring it into Customers Plus and send it from Customers Plus. So that maybe they're designing it like that on purpose, or maybe it's going to come in the future where we can kind of just capture that estimate and send it the way we want. But for the time being, it's still going to have to be sent from Mobile Tech RX. But we can bridge that gap because now, as soon as they're sent, we can then just start the conversation back from the CRM. It's like we're reeling it back in. They get their estimate from Mobile Tech RX as you create and send them. And within a few minutes, we're going to be following up with that customer automatically from the system, trying to get them to schedule. And if they reply with the exact word schedule, that's going to send you guys a custom notification that, hey, you've got a hot lead. They just got their estimate and they're ready to book. So from there, you can send them some available times and enter them on the calendar. And this would also be a good step maybe in the future to even work in things like basic AI scheduling and booking. Like it opens the doors for a lot of additional automation as well, to where you guys aren't even having to check your calendar availability and actually send that out to the customer and add the customer to your calendar. It just opens up the door to go even further with options for things like AI scheduling. So at this point, maybe in the future for version 2 or 3, we can even have AI just go ahead and send the availability. And instead of the customer replying schedule, they reply with which time they want. And if that time's, if they select one of the times from AI, it can go straight onto the calendar and just let you guys know. But all that kind of stuff is optional and additional customizations that we can work in the future. But the main point here is that we're closing that communication gap because just from what we see, like guys send estimates and then it's up to you to then go back and follow up with that customer and it's from a different phone number, and or if the estimates get sent by email and then you're texting or calling them back from the CRM and it's all your responsibility. So this one step bridges that gap just because our system can now be aware that you've created your estimate and it's more of a natural flow to go from new lead, sending the estimate, and now we're following up with them and scheduling them. So as soon as your estimates are created, it's going to send a confirmation just to let them know their estimate was delivered. If they're ready to schedule, go ahead and reply schedule. If they don't reply at all, after one day, it's going to follow up with them 3 more times. So we have like a 3-day little follow-up campaign for after estimates. And so the system's going to keep trying if they don't respond and send you guys custom notifications anytime they do respond. And this also creates the vehicle object in the database, like I was mentioning on the previous slide. And at the end here, door is actually open for community consensus or even individual customization. There's additional things you guys need here. Again, the door is open for that, and potentially anything that's possible with Customers Plus already can already kind of be triggered off the fact that you just sent an estimate. So from here, now we're going to go into more of the actual screenshots and kind of exactly how it works and how everything looks. Let me switch over to that presentation. Okay. Kicks me out of presentation mode. Okay. So with that visual concept, now we're actually going to give you like how it looks in Customers Plus and Mobile Tech RX. So the new pipeline stages will look similar to this. And for anybody that already has a custom pipeline, we're going to be able to potentially tweak some of one or two of your existing stages or just plug in these new stages. We don't necessarily have to rebuild your whole pipeline or anything. We can work in just kind of this middle part specifically for Mobile Tech RX. But our baseline pipeline that everybody's going to get going forward, we'll have our estimate schedule stage. It's a separate calendar for that. And that's not always required. That's just if you need to see it in person. But let's say you don't need to see it in person. You just got the photos. It's a good job. You're ready to start the estimate. You're now just going to drag and drop your leads here to the estimate prep stage. It'll look just like that. And that simple action of dragging and dropping, or whether you're in the mobile app and moving them over, this now sends all this customer's information over to Mobile Tech RX for you automatically. And so right when I drag this opportunity here, I came into Mobile Tech RX. Now this is the website view. It was just a better view of the contact, but the rest of the screenshots are from the app, which is what I think you guys are more familiar with. This is kind of like the back end website. It's just more of a running database of everything. But at the very least, we can see that contact populated here automatically right away. And so from there, you're just going to come in to create a new estimate, and you'll already have the lead there to select from here. So you'll select and search for the client and get them added to the new estimate. Next, you're going to add the vehicle. And so we actually recommend adding all vehicle information from this side because we can receive this vehicle information back to Customers Plus. But currently, with what Mobile Tech RX is able to receive, we can only send in client information. So like contact name, phone number, address, company name, fields like that. So to avoid double data entry, it's best to enter vehicle information here if you want to enter any of that. But then we can receive it back on Customers Plus. So you're still only putting it in one time. So you're going to add your vehicle. Next, you're going to add your service, put in your pricing, however that goes. You guys are all familiar with these. So I'm going to go through these a little faster. You approve the service, and then the next stage is to convert the work order. You can get the signature or skip, but that last step right here, when we converted it to work order, this is what triggered Zapier to then throw it into home plate back to Customers Plus. So we're going to be receiving that this customer just got their estimate as the work orders are created. And so you can still send your estimates from here, same way you're probably used to. Check off that client and send it. And we can see here now our estimate and work orders are fully created. And now here's where it comes back to Customers Plus finally. This is the first step it's going to do. It's going to move the opportunity for you from estimate prep to estimate sent. So now you know anybody here, they've already gotten their estimate from Mobile Tech RX. Next, so this is kind of like the vehicle database that I was talking about. This is a new advancement also from Customers Plus. Wasn't 100% necessary, but it's available now, and it's just more information, more data for you guys, and an easier way to keep up with vehicles. And if people have multiple, so we'll now have, as you create estimates, we will now have a running database with all the vehicle fields. And even if a customer has multiple vehicles in Mobile Tech RX, say they have three, but you just created an estimate with one of the vehicles, we can still bring over all that information the first time so that all their vehicles are stored, all the fields get parsed out, and we'll have a running database with vehicles attached to their owners in your contact section. And then this is also going to fire off the estimate delivery notification. Here's back where we bridge that gap in communication from estimate to follow up and scheduling the appointment. We're going to send the customer a confirmation that their estimate has just been delivered from your business. Please review and give us a call or text back at this number anytime with questions. If you're ready to schedule the repair, reply to this message, schedule. And so that's what the workflow is looking for here. If they reply within 1 day, it's going to give you guys specific notifications. So that's kind of what's happening here. We're waiting 1 day or for a reply. So if it times out, if they don't reply within 24 hours, it's going to filter them over to the next workflow for the 3-day follow-up. But if they do reply, then it's just going to be checking, well, what did they say in that message? And if they said schedule, then we go ahead and send them a thank you. Thank you for letting us know you're ready to schedule. We'll have a technician reach out very shortly with available times. And it also notifies you that, hey, it's now time to reach out to that customer and get them on the calendar. Otherwise, if they don't say schedule, but they reply with something else, the notifications to you will just be what they actually sent. So you'll actually get the message body and then can decide what to do from there. And this is just a screenshot of that, the different notifications. So we got a thank you message to the customer and user 1 and 2, or even more user notifications, and these as well. And this is if they don't respond, this is the 3-day follow-up workflow. So they just funnel into this directly, and the system is going to continually send them 1 text and 1 email per day. We've got kind of random wait times in here. We want this to seem very natural, almost like it's a human following up with them 1 day after the next with, a manual text. So we want these to seem like a human sent it, not like it's automated. But the system is following up to try to get them on the calendar. And if they reply, you'll get a custom notification from this as well. And this just shows that if they don't reply here while they're at this stage, then the system goes ahead and moves the opportunity for you as well. While the 3-day follow-up is running, you will see opportunities here at this stage. And the follow-up is going to be general enough. Let's say that it was an in-person estimate that you gave somebody, and just from looking at it, you were able to give them a verbal price or however you wanted to do that. But then they didn't schedule right away. You guys can also manually move people to follow up at any time. It's still meant to be for follow up kind of after an estimate has been provided, but you can also move people here manually and if they're not actually getting the MTRX like estimate PDF. And these are just the final stages after that. You guys should all be pretty familiar with this for the most part, like repair scheduled, repair confirmed, complete, review request, collision referral, and lost or abandoned. Now, I wanted to show this just briefly because with this advancement and everything and some of the tweaks we're going to be making to the pipeline, we're also going to be trying to just automate the pipeline a little bit more for you guys in general and just give everything a finish line. Like if they get stuck at any specific stage, the system's going to be taking context into what stage they were at, what's happened, have they scheduled, is their appointment passed, did they reschedule, all these types of things. It's taking in all the context for everything that's happened for that customer, and then it's going to move some of the opportunities for you automatically. Now it does give you a chance to interfere, gives you notifications like, hey, uh, Josh got stuck at repair scheduled and he never was moved to repair confirmed. But the appointment was never canceled, it was never rescheduled. So the system's just going to assume that the repair was completed. It's going to send you a notification that, hey, Josh is going to be moved to repair confirmed tomorrow unless you take action to add XYZ tag. And if you take no action because the repair actually was completed, the system will just take care of that for you. So that's kind of going to roll into maybe our next topic. And for our monthly lives is kind of pipeline advancements and automations for just making it all flow that much better before and after estimates. So it's really important to consider what happens before and what happens after and to try to make it all flow as smoothly as possible. And that was the last slide I had here from the screenshots. The very last thing I just wanted to touch on briefly, I won't bore you guys with too much detail about this today, but this will be a resource for you guys to utilize. We're going to be building like a key and the steps for each stage. And so we'll kind of be adding on to this over time. And we've already got everything laid out for all these new stages and kind of your action options, what takes place in Customers Plus, what's Mobile Tech RX, what's automated, what's manual. So we will just kind of have a running key to make it as obvious as possible and just so you guys are as familiar as can be with what's actually going on at each pipeline stage. So currently, this is kind of how the Mobile Tech RX integration is going to work. We are also going to have some ways for you guys to submit feedback and suggestions because it's going to be really important for us to understand kind of how you use Mobile Tech RX and everything as well. There are a lot of options and different ways that we could build it, and they've actually done a pretty good job with the automation integration. Now, the last thing I'm going to say here is that currently we can send the information over to Mobile Tech RX. We got that to work completely. So their API for receiving information is 100% ready to go. Their API for actually sending information back, it's like we've got all the building blocks and everything. We can see what's going to be there and what's available, and we can actually already even build out the automations and everything. But it's like the back end operating system behind it isn't quite ready from their end yet. So it's like when we try to trigger things back from Mobile Tech RX, it's just not ready, but everything is built and ready to go. So at this point, it's kind of a waiting game for them. Depending on that time, it may change our version 1 implementation because we want you guys to at least be able to send information in to Mobile Tech RX. We would rather implement it all, right? All is in one system together for you guys so we can send and receive. So it's kind of just going to depend on how quickly things develop from their side as well. But that's all I've got for today, guys. I'm going to turn it back over to Miguel briefly, and then we may open it up for some questions.
Thanks, Josh. So just to wrap up the presentation part of it, I'm going to briefly talk about, and to piggyback on what Josh was just talking about, the future. and kind of like here's what's next and where we're going with this integration in a general sense. So new triggers are coming. For instance, like when estimate total changes and different types of triggers. We will obviously be privy to those triggers and actions as they become available and as we're able to test them and integrate them. All right. Also, your CRM knows and responds without you having to do anything. And that's kind of what Josh was talking about too, as far as having that full cycle fully integrated so that it's not just the estimate itself, it's before and after what happens, around the estimate. And then automatically group and target based on what kind of work is being done. That's another uh, like smart segmentation that is coming in the future. Um, but in general, you know, just more collaboration in general, right? And this is just really phase one, you know. We're really unlocking real power here by connecting Customers Plus with Mobile Tech RX.